it's just been so amazing for people to reach out to me and tell me that their stories are similar. And I had a young woman last week tell me that she went back to church for the first time last Sunday, and she
Oh,
was so
wow.
thankful for my post, and it gave her the confidence to go back because I know this church is true. I know it is. I felt that burning inside of me, knowing that this is where I belong and this is where I should be. And to be able to share that with other people and share that, like, you are never too far gone. I didn't think I was gonna make it to my 27th birthday, and I probably wouldn't have if I hadn't gotten arrested that day, and I know that I was arrested as a blessing that day to save me from myself, and I know the atonement is true and is here for us to use it, and it's here for us to use always, and it's just been an amazing experience.
All right, we are back with another episode of the Convert Devotionals. And this episode I am excited for. This is Kaia. Kaia, I found on Instagram. She is a defender of the faith. She has an amazing story and has recently been posting a lot of videos and talking about her journey, talking about the gospel and Jesus Christ and sobriety. I am excited to have her on and excited to have her share her story. So, hi, Kaia.
Hi, thank you for having
Alright.
me.
Yeah,
I'm
of
excited.
course. So, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Kaia, and then we'll go ahead and get into your story.
I was raised in a small town in Nevada, until I was 11, and I moved to St. George, Utah when I was 11. I grew up playing volleyball, I danced growing up, loved the church when I was little, and then things started to change when I went to St. George, but, I am a single mom to the most amazing little boy. He's gonna be 15 months the end of this month, and
Oh,
he is just so much fun. I love being a mom. And professionally, I'm a paralegal. I do
oh,
landlord tenant law. I work for
okay.
a law firm in Las Vegas. I work remotely. They Once I had my son, they let me work from home, which is nice, so I can take care of him full time and
Yeah,
also work full time.
that's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
15 months is one of my favorite ages because they are so is he walking?
Oh, yeah, he's running.
He's running, he's already going. It's just such a fun phase because they're, like, getting into their whole new personality, they're getting out of the baby phase,
Yeah,
and the best is when they're, like, a little bit chubbier and they're, like, waddling around, but
yeah.
anyways, so
Oh,
I love that phase.
yeah, he's a wild boy. I'm in trouble. I
Oh,
raised him with so much personality. I'm like, "Uh-oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep up now."
seriously, and boys are I've
Yeah,
got 3 boys, and I'm like, "I don't know, Heavenly Father, why you gave me 3 boys because it's a mess, but it's so
yeah.
fun." But
Oh, yeah, it's a blast.
yeah. So, all right, Kaya. So go ahead and get started and tell me your story. So
Okay.
excited to hear it.
Alright, hopefully I can get through without crying. I'm a little bit of a crybaby, but I was raised LDS. I was the typical Mormon girl going up and bearing my testimony every fast Sunday, "I love my mom, I love my dad," how they see that
Right.
every fast Sunday, that was me. He wanted to go on a mission. Really, I don't know if I knew what that meant back then, but I knew, like, that was something that you should do. And, my dad was my bishop growing up in Nevada. So when I moved to Utah when I was 11, that's when things started to change. The people in St. George, Utah, in my ward, the girls my age were very mean to me. Like, it was very much clicky. I was made to feel like I didn't belong, basically like I was invisible, and was worthless, I guess. And that really kind of broke my confidence. Like, I was used to being friends with everybody coming from a small town. Like, that was never a problem. I was not shy or anything, and basically that changed the trajectory of the rest of my life, honestly. I was very insecure, very scared, just felt worthless and like I didn't belong here. So when school started, I was going into 6th grade, like, I was just terrified. I was terrified to talk. I remember being sick and I was like, "I cannot cough. I cannot, like, draw attention to myself." Like, I was just petrified, and that's not how I was before at all. And so after that, a year and a half or so after, I ended up being sexually abused by another boy my age, which
Sorry.
and at that time, I was still so innocent, like, so sheltered. I had no idea what was going on. Like, I was shocked, I was scared, I basically just froze. I wasn't I just I said I didn't know what was happening. and afterwards just made my insecurities and everything even worse. And to top it off, like he went to school and told everybody about it. And so I was like even more just, oh my gosh, just I don't want to be here, you know? And, the word that always came to mind back then, I still remember is dirty. Like, I just felt dirty and disgusting and just I didn't wanna tell my mom or dad. I was like, "Oh, I've done a bad thing. Something bad's happened. Like, I'm gonna get in trouble." So, going for another year or so, I ended up becoming friends with people who were smoking weed and drinking and stuff, and so that's what I kind of fell into, and I would do that, quite often, smoking weed and stuff. And, I remember being in my one of my best friend's houses. He's passed away now, but he had a shed in his backyard, and that's where we would go and smoke weed and stuff after school.
Mhm.
And someone had something else out that they were doing, and, me basically being a follower at that point, just, trying to fit in and be cool or whatever. They're like, "Have you done this before?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I have," just trying to
Right.
be whatever. And I ended up doing it, and it was heroin, and that was basically it for me. I was hooked. Like, I had a hold over me. It made me feel like it made me confident, and I wasn't insecure. Every part of my problems, insecurities, and feeling worthless and everything just disappeared, when I did it. So that was
How
it.
old were you? Sorry,
I
how old were you?
I was 16 at this point.
Okay. Okay, keep going.
So yeah. And that started a 10-year now journey trying to basically quit it. Um, During my addiction, you don't get through addiction no matter what it is unscathed. And then more trauma happens, and then you want the drug even more. And it's just a vicious cycle that never ends.
Mhm.
All my friends were dying. I was going to funerals in high school and everything. I'm out of high school now. I had been to jail already as soon as I was 18. I'd been to rehab already. I was back in jail after I went to rehab. I was 19 at this point. Already been back and forth, just a mess. And the judge I remember was like, "We'll let you out of jail, but you need to get out of here." So my oldest sister said that she'd take me in. So I ended up moving to Las Vegas. I had been clean, for a little bit, not very long, but I was had 30, 60 days maybe. And I ended up meeting somebody who ended up being my worst abuser. He was abusive in every way, shape, and form, sexually, mentally, emotionally, very physically abusive. And I was only 19 at this point, which, it seems old at the time. Like when you're 19, you're like, oh, I'm a woman. But I have
Right.
nieces who's about to be 19, and I still look at her and like, you're just starting life. Like you
Yep,
don't
you're
know
so
what's going
young.
on. Yeah.
Yep, you're so young.
Yeah. So anyways, I ended up being in a relationship with him. He ended up bringing Roxy's, which is an opiate, around me as a present because I told him about my sobriety and stuff, and he brought that for me to relapse and basically control me from then on with drugs and stuff. And I remember being with him, and I was getting out of the shower, and I'm looking at myself, and I just am covered head to toe in bruises, like just completely beat to crap. And I took pictures on my phone and I emailed them to myself because he would often take my phone, so I wasn't able to contact anyone. And I'm at this point, I'm living with him. I got kicked out of my sister's house because
Mm.
I was using drugs.
Mhm.
Um, and he, ended up taking it and finding those emails and deleting them. And after that, I remember him, and he told me this, like, "I'm only gonna punch you in your head now so that you can't see the bruises and stuff." And it was so bad that, laying down on my pillow at night, like, I was excruciating. I couldn't even lay down. But yeah, it was awful relationship. I luckily, I thought I was gonna be murdered. I almost was a few times by him. And, I luckily made it out of that relationship. I quit heroin. I then which this happens often with people who have addicted personalities and things like that. I quit heroin, ended up being an alcoholic. So,
Mhm.
I'm now not doing heroin, but I am now drinking heavily each day,
Mhm.
trying to fill the void, I guess, and now get over all the trauma that I've just escaped. Um, so I'm and in this time, I'm in and out of jail 15 plus times I've been arrested. I'm in and out of rehab, like I said. And so yeah, by the time I'm now almost 26, and this has just gone on and off, just really struggling, not getting anywhere, just wasting my life away, don't have a relationship with my family, have nothing. I'm homeless, I'm suicidal, I'm just all around miserable, like didn't want to be here anymore. And January 17th, 2019 comes around. I'm 25 years old. I end up getting arrested for the last time, which I didn't know this at the time, but I'm sitting on the curb smoking a cigarette. I'm handcuffed. The police are searching my truck that I was basically living out of, hopping from friend's house to couch and whatever. And one of the police officers comes over. I wish I remembered his name because I kind of want to thank him, but he came over to me and was like, "This could be the best day of your life." Like that's this is what he said, just one sentence. And I was like, at the time, I'm like, whatever, rolling my eyes, like, you don't know me, you don't know my struggles and who I am or whatever.
Right.
But I end up going to jail, obviously, and I end up bringing drugs into the jail. So I'm in solitary confinement because now I've messed up while I was in there. So and by this time, I'm in a mess of a situation. I've got 4 or 5 warrants across 2 different states, several different counties, Hurricane, Utah, Washington County, everything just, and Arizona. So I'm just like, I'm in big trouble. And I'm sitting in solitary confinement. I'm by myself. I think they let you out every other day for an hour to take a shower. I think that was it. And I would walk around a little bit. So I'm just like, I'm sick as a dog. I'm withdrawing so bad and just miserable. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what am I doing with my life? This is, I've got nothing. I have no one. I'm miserable. I'm so sick. Like, I don't want to keep doing this. I can do better for myself. And I don't know what it was that day. Maybe that was my breaking point, my, basement, my rock bottom, but something in me switched and I was like, I'm going to do better. I can do better than this. And in solitary confinement, you're not allowed to use the phones. You can't go to your court hearings. And I had a lot because had so many warrants. So you have a little slit underneath the door and I had a small window. I could look out and see like a general population of other women in there. And I ended up trying to make friends through the door. And I was sliding. I had gotten a broken pencil from one of the therapists I had seen because I was in a bad way when I was in there. So they sent me to a counselor inside the jail and they gave me a broken pencil. And I had my court papers of my charges and stuff. And I would slide notes underneath the door trying to get someone to call my mom for me and tell her that I want to go to rehab. So I finally make a friend, make several friends, and they call my mom for me and tell her I wants to go to rehab. And that was a big deal for me because anytime I've gone to rehab, it was either court ordered or my parents made me. It was never
Mhm.
something like I want to go get help for myself. I've never said that.
Mhm.
So that was a big deal for me. So as soon as my mom heard that, she was on it. She was ready to go. She's been waiting, 10 years for this to happen. And so she goes and finds an advocate who goes and advocates for people who have addiction problems. So he's going around with my mom to each one of my hearings, which is, like I said, 4 or 5 different judges. And everyone's telling me, like, you're not getting out of here, girl. You are in trouble. Like, no way all of your judges are just going to release you to rehab. And literally by the grace of God, all my judges released me to go to rehab. I got the
Wow.
chills right now just thinking about it. Like, there's no way I should have been released from there. And I was. And my mom was ordered to come pick me up from jail, take me to pack a bag real quick, and drive me straight to rehab up north in Heber. And that's what she did. And she dropped me off there, like in the middle of the night. And I like gave it my all. I was so serious about it and I did not want to let my parents down again, or myself. And I worked the program, I did sober living, I did the counseling, I was going to my court hearings, which was a big deal for me. I'm not running from the law anymore. I'm paying my court fines, I've got a job, I'm paying off my debts and stuff. Like I was doing it. And I ended up having to move back with my oldest sister again in Las Vegas. She's a saint, letting me live with her all the time, and I'm a complete disaster. But um, and during that time while I was in addiction, obviously I was not active in the church. But one thing that's kind of funny about me is obviously I was not wearing living the gospel standards in any way, shape, or form, like whatsoever. But anytime anyone would bring up the church or say something negative about it, like I would fight to the death. Like I was going hard, which is seems funny because I'm like, what am I doing? I'm not living any of those standards. Like, but I would just defend it to no end. Like I would defend my family, I would defend the people, and I would defend the church, which is, maybe looking back, I'm like, maybe I always knew it was true in the back of my mind. But yeah, anyways, I'm not shaming anyone who did do that, but I'm just saying that's my story and that's what happened, which is kind of funny to me. So I moved back in with my sister, and this is where the church is being reintroduced to me. And she's, you know how it is to get sober. Like you got no friends now. You're alone. And
Mhm.
sober. This is all new to me. Like I am lost. It's definitely a transition from having to be on substances every few hours to having nothing and you're just alone with yourself.
Mhm.
It's very difficult to just kind of reintegrate yourself in the community and be a normal person.
Well, it's like a whole new world, and
Yeah,
you have to you feel normal when you're on those substances, like,
yeah,
that's your new normal now, or you're normal, and now you have to find that new normal with
yeah,
sobriety. So,
yeah. So I'm
hard.
trying to get back into society and be a upstanding citizen and feel like I'm not a crazy person. And so she's telling me, you need to make good friends. You need to go to the singles ward. You need to go to the singles activities and things like that. And, it took me a little bit, but I ended up going back to the singles ward, and that was where Bishop Horsley, I feel like all my bishops that I've had since I've like turned my life around I feel like were placed there just for me, and I'm sure multiple people feel like that, but like Bishop Horsley, he made me feel like that's where I belonged. Like he made me feel like I was loved, like this is where you need to be, like you are special, like your countenance is like I just remember him telling me like your countenance is amazing, like you need to be here. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, thank you.
I love
And
that.
that's where I fell in love with, like, fast Sundays, coming from the life I'd been living, like, seeing people my age up there, and I'm like, "You love the gospel? Like, you love this so much? Like, what? This is crazy?" And I remember coming home to my sister's house and being like, "Church was so awesome," and mind you, I'm in the back, I'm sitting by myself, like, I'm still
Right.
not, like I'm not stuck up or anything, I'm just very shy and just was very unsure about myself, trying to figure it all out. And I'm just like, "Church was so amazing, it just felt so good, like, I'm excited for next week already?" And everything wasn't sunshine and rainbows after that. I still had my ups and downs, and I was still trying to sometimes do things my own way, and so there was short periods where I'd stop going to church and stuff when I'd moved out of my sister's house. And, but I always kept finding my way back, and each time,
Mhm.
like, the bishops were put there just for me, Bishop Areola, I was working with him, and we worked together to get my patriarchal blessing. And that was just such an exciting experience. It just fueled me to no end. I was just like, I'm like, I'm gonna freaking take over the world. It was
Mhm.
just, it was so awesome. It was like one of the first things, and I'm going in there, I'm still struggling with my self worth and everything. And that's something I still struggle with, just trying to forgive myself. That's been the hardest thing for me. And I go to the, to the house to get my patriarchal blessing. My mom and dad are with me, and the first thing the patriarch said was, "Your heavenly father is so proud of you." This guy doesn't know me, right? This is the first time I've met him. "Your heavenly father is so proud of you, and he's so happy that you're here." And I was just like, "Oh, thank goodness." Because I'm like, "Am I worthy? Should I be doing this?" And that was just, oh, I need to be here and get this. So I got my patriarchal blessing. Then I still had my ups and downs. I ended up becoming pregnant before I was married, but that was just the greatest blessing ever. The day I found out I was pregnant, I was like, "Okay, I've got to make a decision. I want to be the best mom I can be and the best example I can to my son." And
Yep.
the way I know how to do that is being a committed member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And that's what I did. I've been going every week. I read my scriptures, which I never really did before. I say my prayers multiple times. I'm always praying, and I just gave it my all, and I've been giving it my all, and I still have. And the church has just been such a blessing, and I know looking back now, like, the situations that I've been in and my addiction was so strong, I'd have to use every few hours or else I was sick, like, it wasn't just like a
Right.
fun thing, like, I was
Right.
in a bad way, and a lot of my friends have passed away, and I was blessed, and I felt like I was protected and watched over because my mom was praying for me to be protected the whole time I was out there, and I think I was able to be protected because I can now share my story and relate to so many other people, and that's kind of why I felt like I should start saying sharing my story. I started my pages started posting 3 months ago, and it's just been so amazing for people to reach out to me and tell me that their stories are similar, and I had a young woman last week tell me that she went back to church for the first time last Sunday, and she was so
Mhm.
thankful for my post, and it gave her the confidence to go back because I know this church is true. I know it is. I felt that burning inside of me, knowing that this is where I belong and this is where I should be. And and to be able to share that with other people and share that, like, you are never too far gone.
Mhm.
I didn't think I was gonna make it to my 27th birthday, and I probably wouldn't have if I hadn't gotten arrested that day, and I know that I was arrested as a blessing that day to save me from
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm.
And I know the atonement is true and is here for us to use it, and it's here for us to use always, and it's just been an amazing experience, honestly.
That's amazing, Kaya. Okay, you have been through so much, and you really are such an example and such a light. And defending the church, you had talked about, I was and I'm just saying this because 'cause I'm like, my stories because I totally relate to it. I remember being totally in my party days and drunk, and my friends
Yeah,
or my husband's friends would bring up the gospel or God in general. I remember one of my husband's friends was like, "Hey, so there's nothing after this. There's nothing after this. We're just gonna die." I was like, "What?"
yeah,
Totally just like, "There that can't be right," and I was the same way. So I
yeah,
think I always had that strong testimony too, even though I
mhm,
was far gone. So that's kind of funny.
that's
I think we
awesome.
can relate to that
Yeah,
too, because
yeah,
I was the same way. I don't care if I'm drinking right now.
I know, and none of it made any sense. I'm, like,
Yes,
in a drug house, like, I'm like,
yes,
"No!"
right. I'm like, "But it's still good." Like, I was like, "But it's still good." So I love that.
Yeah,
Okay. So when you are when you are in your struggles and you're having those dark days because they still don't go away.
mm.
Right? It's we're still gonna struggle and we still have those hard days. So, what do you do in those times?
Something I do, and I've been told this by somebody else, I'm not really sure who told me, but even when you are just feel like you're going through the ringer, you need to either pray or just look for the miracles happening in your life. And it could be as easy as like, well, the sun is shining today. The weather is good. I have my health. I'm feeling great today. There is miracles happening all around us. We just need to look for it and look for the positive. I know that's easier said than done, but dwelling on the negative things, it really drains you, and it drains you of any kind of positivity that there could be going on around you. So I know
Mhm.
that something that helps me is looking for the positive and looking for small miracles in my life.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then what advice so if there are well, I'm sure there are, I know there are people, men and women that were in your situation years ago when you were in that shed or you were in that house and they're struggling and they've hit rock bottom. Is there any advice that you would give to them?
Yes, and I still have friends that are struggling, and I have to keep my distance just to protect myself, and I still love them dearly, and I still love all my friends who've passed away. But you need to do it for you. There's no other reason that's gonna stick. It doesn't matter what anyone says to you. You have to do it for yourself, and you have to love yourself enough to want to be better for yourself. I had so many people coming to me like, "Oh, you're awful," or "You're this," or "You're selfish," or or in a kind way, like, "You need to get help," like, "You have it doesn't matter,
Mm-mm.
as long as you and your mind are not ready for it and you're not gonna make that decision, "I'm going to stop and I'm going to do this," I'm not sure what it takes, and it's different for everybody. Like, my rock bottom was definitely sitting in solitary confinement. I don't know why, because 'cause I've been there before, but that was just it. You just need to make up your mind and stick to it. There is no one foot in, one foot out situation. It's gonna just take you right back to the same place. You need to commit yourself fully. When I decided to turn my life around, I committed myself fully. I changed my number. I moved. I was deleting my friends off of Facebook, people who were hitting me up for drugs and whatever else.
Mhm.
I had to change every single thing about myself. Listening to certain music was triggering for me, you know? You have to fully commit yourself. 'Cause, I'd been sober before and I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go hang out with this friend," even though I know that they're probably using it, and boom, I was right back in it. So,
Mhm.
you have to fully commit every part of your life or it's not gonna
Yeah.
work.
Yep. I second that. It's just very true.
Yeah.
And I feel that that could also go for when you're deciding to come back or join the gospel. You have to it's kind of like nobody can tell you you should join and you should follow Christ. You have to do it for yourself, and you have to make that decision yourself that I'm gonna follow Christ, and then
Mhm.
what comes with it as far as, like, following the commandments or getting baptized or coming back to church,
Mhm.
repenting with bishop, with your bishop in your case, and so I kinda like how those relate, sobriety and then going to the church or to God. So,
Yeah. And on actually, I have, like, a bunch of talk ideas I save in my notes on my phone just in case,
I
and
love
that's
it.
one of them. I was 'cause you know how people talk about, like, things that they know. My brother is a firefighter, so he always relates his talks to firefighting, and, people
Mhm.
always relate their talks to their personal lives, how they see, everything, and so, a lot of my talks have to do with addiction recovery. So, my idea was, one day at a time for addiction recovery. Well, it's one day at a time with the gospel. You can't just, sit on it and not do anything. You can't just not read your scriptures every day. You can't not pray. You're not gonna get anywhere. Same thing with addiction. You need to if work going to 12-step meetings works for you, you need to be doing that, you know? It's the same way. You gotta work both things.
I love that. It's so true. Oh, I love that. All right, Kaya, this has been amazing. Thank you for sharing and thank you for going online and sharing your experiences, your testimony. I love hearing these stories and I'm so grateful that I had you on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Hold on, let me